wish there was a contact sport year-long? Well, on SFA Now, we will have an in-depth look at the SFA men's rugby team. Stay tuned.
Welcome to another episode of SFA Now. I'm your host, Odalis Zapata, and alongside with me, we have player-coach of the SFA's men's rugby team, Andrew Middleton. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Before we jump into the team, may you give us a brief history of the SFA's rugby team?
Okay, so the rugby team started in 1974, and it's been going strong ever since. We just finished up our season, and we're looking forward into sevens in summer.
During the time span, can you list the achievements the team has garnered so far?
Back in 2009, we won our annual Rugby Fest tournament. We've won a bunch of sevens tournaments over the 45-year history. We've won state a few times. So yeah, that's about it.
And then, what are some basic lessons to playing rugby?
Okay. One of the most basic things that people have problems with is we pass backwards. We cannot pass the ball forward. So it's a lot of laterals, like with football. And basically it's just passing backwards and advancing the ball down the field.
Let's go ahead and look at the recent 7 tournaments in Huntsville. So how long have you been playing on the SFA's rugby team, and how has your experience been on the rugby team?
I've been playing off and on for probably about 8 years. And the experience has always been good. As far as like when the season starts, we get a lot of new guys out, and then as the semester goes on, class gets a little hectic. You start losing numbers. But as far as the team, it's always been very fun, very rewarding. It's always a good time.
And how do you prepare your team for the upcoming games?
Mostly what we do is we run through our set pieces. So there's certain things like lineouts, that's when the ball goes out of bounds. That's how we get the ball back in. Scrums, those occur after a minor infraction, and it's just a way to restart play. So we just go over those set pieces, lineouts, scrums, and just go over our game plan. And sometimes we'll watch film because they'll put film up on YouTube. So we'll watch film, go over the set pieces, and then just run a lot.
Oh, yeah, that's really cool. And then what are some of the challenges the team has had to overcome?
Like I was saying, as the semester goes on, we lose a lot of people to school, to other activities, things like that. So that's really our biggest challenge, is just to overcome the attrition rate.
Okay, and I also understand that a lot of people think that rugby is a really physical sport, and it's very dangerous. How would you respond to that?
Well, I will say it is a physical sport, but the but with it being dangerous, that really comes down to your technique and how you tackle. So what I'll tell people is, like with football, one of the reasons why football is so dangerous is because you have a helmet, you have pads, you have all this protective gear around you, so you're a lot more likely to just throw your body around. Whereas in rugby, since you don't have those pads and those safeguards, you want to make sure you have the technique down and you hit right and you don't lead with your head, which can lead to concussions and messing up your neck and so forth. So it really enforces the technical aspect of it, which helps keep kids safer when they play rugby.
And how do you guys recruit new players onto the team?
Mostly what we do is we go out to recruitment fairs, everything that SFA has. We try and find people in the gym, people that work out. Basically, just walking around campus and just talking to people.
And how successful were you guys this past year?
This past season, we went 500 this year. So we won our first game against Abilene Christian, and then our last game we didn't win our last game, but I feel for the numbers that we had a pretty good season. If we just keep everyone that starts at the beginning of the season, we'll be good.
And then can you list some of the protective gear you guys wear?
Okay. We have mouthpieces. Some people have scrum caps, which that's mainly for people inside the scrum to protect their ears. And cleats. That's really about it.
And is there any upcoming tournaments?
There aren't any for colleges that I know of, but we are going to a Bloodfest tournament, which is in Austin. It's one of the biggest tournaments and sevens tournaments in Texas. So we're going to be doing that. We have a tournament in August in Shreveport. We're going to be going to that. And I mean, that's really it. Summer isn't really big for college. It really starts up during the year.
And what are your plans for the Bloodfest?
Plans for Bloodfest is just show up, really work on our team chemistry, our team cohesion, work on our communication, and hopefully bring back a trophy.
And some of the challenges you have to overcome?
As far as, let's see, I guess challenge are really just since it's the summer. A lot of kids are out of town, and since they're spaced out all over the state, it'd be really trying to get as many people from the team to come to Austin as possible. So I think that'd really be the biggest challenge.
And what are your biggest rivals?
Sam Houston, of course. Abilene Christian, we play them every year. It's always a good game. Mostly it's just Sam.
Okay, and also with new players wanting to, where would they get information about joining the team?
What they could do is they could go on to, there's the sport club website. They could get the information for the new president, vice president, and the other officers. We have practice Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday from 4 to 6 at the rugby pitch, which is right across from the rec center on Wilson. So if they have any questions, I would suggest just have them come out to practice and ask their questions there.
And what sport would you compare this to that's closest to another sport?
I would say it's a combination of football, because it's the hitting of football with the continuation of soccer. So it's not start and stop like football is. Like you get tackled, you go down, you have 25 seconds on your play clock to come up with a new play and then run it. It's, you get tackled and then the play's still live. It doesn't stop. So it's very continuous, like with soccer.
Do you think it's a sport that anybody could learn?
Oh, definitely. I mean, most of the people that we have come out, they've never played a game or a minute of rugby in their life. It's a very simple sport to learn. It's basically just pass the ball backwards and run forward. It's a very simple game.
And is there anything else you would like to add about the SFA rugby team?
Not really. Yeah.
And do you feel like the SFA rugby team is going to keep on growing here?
I think so. As long as we keep recruiting up, getting that, because I mean, SFA rugby's been around since 1974, so it's not something that's just going to go away. And also, I mean, we have such a big alumni base. Rugby is growing in the U.S. It's actually, I believe, it's the second biggest growing sport in the world. Also, they're coming out with a lot more Major League Rugby teams in the U.S. So I really think rugby is on the rise, and I think that with that, that's gonna trickle down to SFA and help us, get more players and keep the SFA Rugby Club relevant in the state of Texas.
And can you give us a little bit more history of the SFA Rugby team?
Okay. Sorry, I really don't have anything. Yeah. I mean, yeah.
What about the most dramatic thing you've had happen at the team?
Okay. I mean, we've had injuries. Nothing really major, because like I said, it's, if you have the technique down, that really helps with keeping you safe and keeping you injury free as possible. I mean, we've been all over the state. We've driven to Texas Tech. We've been to San Angelo. We've been to Shreveport. So I mean, really, the biggest thing is just getting to travel and getting to meet other people from other nations, because since rugby is such a global sport, it really helps you meet people from that you wouldn't normally meet. I mean, I've met so many people from South Africa, Australia, a couple people from Zimbabwe, some people from Nigeria, and then obviously like England, Wales, Scotland. So I mean, that's one of the things that I really enjoy about rugby the most, is that you get to meet people from other walks of life, other cultures, that you wouldn't normally meet.
Is there any big rugby players that you look up to?
Yeah, there are. I mean, obviously, there's Johnny Wilkinson, who played for England. There's Brian O'Driscoll, and they're just because they played the game for so long. They started as kids, and it's just they just love the game so much, and just the things that they were able to do in both at the World Cup for the nation, and also just in the club. They're really good, so I really look up to them.
And what's the biggest tip you give to people that play rugby?
Okay, the biggest tip to people that play rugby, and also people that want to play rugby too, would be to just obviously you need to make sure that you're out there running, and make sure that you're watching rugby, because you can always learn more. Like I said, I've been playing for years, and I still learn stuff every day. So I mean, the biggest thing is just to keep an open mind. Always be learning something, because you can always learn something new every day.
So what do you guys usually, how do you guys practice?
Okay, so normally, like I said, our practices are Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday from 4 to 6. So during that time, we start out with a warm-up. We just play touch, which that's basically just like it's just rugby without tackling. So we start out with that, warm up, and then we go into our set pieces. So we'll work on, like I said, lineouts, scrums, things of that nature, and then we'll go through certain drills, whether it be hitting drills or drills to look for an overload. Which what an overload is when you have, if you have two people on offense and one person on defense. So you have that one person overload. So looking on finding that, and that's really it, just going over set pieces and, hitting drills.
Okay. Well, there you have it. Thank you, Coach, for coming by today, and thank you for joining us on SFA Now.
Yeah.
Have a great day.
Thank you as well.